Okay, so problem number 1 says, assume that a watermelon drop from a tall building falls at y equals 16t squared in t seconds. And then it says, find the watermelon's speed at an instant t equals 4. Now what they're really saying is, what is the slope when t equals 4? Now, we talked about how to do that. We said that we could probably do this, right? We said that the slope could actually be the limit of this thing as h approaches 0. And then we just had to plug in the numbers, right? Does anybody remember how we did that? Well, what we did is we would say f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. And so we'll do this a little more detailed in chapter 3. But basically, what we end up with is, what is f of x? Well, f of x, if I plug in the 4, f of 4 is equal to 16 times 4 squared, right? So that's like 16 times 16, which is a really big number. What is that?
256.
16 times 16 is 256? All right. So that's that number. Now the only other issue that we have is, what is f of x? Whoops. What is f of 4 plus h? Now here's the trick. I've got to plug this in, and I get 16 times 4 plus h squared. Right? You guys following what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a little more challenging, but basically I'm going to get 16 times the quantity. Now if I square this, in other words, I'm going to, if I think about it like this, this is going to be 4 plus h times 4 plus h, right? That's going to be 16 plus 8h plus h squared, isn't it? Does that make sense to you guys? All right. So I'm going to plug that in. I'm going to write it in a different order, though. I'm going to say h squared plus 8h plus 16, right? And then all of this is multiplied by 16, right? Because I gotta plug all this stuff, right? This is this plus this plus this, right? Because we're trying to find f of 4 plus h minus 256. Does that make sense? All over h. And we're going to take the limit of that as h approaches 0. All right. So as I plug this through, I get 16h. I'm going to just distribute this through each term in the parentheses. I get 16h squared plus 16 times 8. What is that? 48 plus 80, is that 126?
16 times 8.
Yeah.
128.
Oh, 128. Why did I say 6? I'm so silly. All right, so I got this. And then 16 times 16, that's a positive 256 minus 256. Whoops. What's going on here? All right. And all that's over h. And we're going to take the limit of that as h approaches 0. Well, I said if we did this right, any term that does not have an h in it will cancel out. Right? So now I can factor out an h out of these two terms, and I get h times 16h, right? Plus 128 all over h.
Just cancel out.
Right, so I'm going to take the limit of this as h approaches 0, and so the h's will cancel. And now I don't have that issue of having an h in the denominator, so I could just plug in wherever there's an h, I could just plug in a 0, right? 0 times 16 is just 0. So my answer should be 128. Is that one of my options?
Yes.
Let's see. Oh, correct. Good job. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, good. Shall I move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Sure.